without further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker. Jason Irving is the Manager for Protected Areas with the South Australian Government. For over the last 10 years, he's overseen more than 100 additions to the Protected Areas system in his home state and the development of 12 co-management agreements with Aboriginal people, nearly 2/3 of the Protected Areas system. Thanks, James. Everyone hear me okay? Okay. My 6-year-old son, he has a pretty simple way of describing what I do for my work. When he talks to his school friends, he says that Dad saves nature, which I think is a pretty cool way of describing what we all do in our day. Unfortunately, he also describes it as Dad goes on holiday a lot. So don't take it. Okay. I'll be using some examples and images today from my home state of South Australia to illustrate some of the Australian-wide themes of public areas. It's a place called The first point I want to make is that the extraordinary progress that Australia has made in protecting representative sand and copper diverse ecosystems in a formal national reserve system has been underpinned by leadership in policy and by leadership in science. A whole-of-government decision by the Council of Australian Governments in 2002 agreed to a strategic policy framework for establishing a comprehensive, adequate and representative reserve system in Australia. Now, this decision drove development of policy, science and generous funding laws, and gave the Australian Government, the states and the territories the imprimatur to work together collaboratively in pursuit of this end. And through this there was a great period of bottom-up and top-down leadership and innovation. Now, the second point I want to make is that the scientific foundation that underpinned and guided this work represented more than 25 years of significant collaboration between all governments and numerous scientific bodies to establish something we call the interim biogeographic regionalisation of Australia. And this divided Australia up into 85 terrestrial bioregions with finer scales of sub-regions and environmental associations. What this model did was to enable governments to direct funding and effort to the areas of greatest need and to ensure that the opportunistic purchase of properties delivered the greatest outcome for investment. Now, this map of Kangaroo Island shows the network of public and private protected areas and the growth of that system in the last 20 years. The green being the public system, the red being additions to that system in the last 20 years, the light blue being private protected areas, and the dark blue being growth in private protected areas. As you can see, there was investment across the island, which already had about 30% protected in parks. But there was a particular focus on consolidating the boundaries of the large national parks at the western end and also creating new protected areas on the eastern end. And this was achieved through either funding partnerships between the Australian Government and the South Australian Government to achieve specific outcomes aimed at improving the quality of the reserve system on the island. Another way it was achieved was through state government investment in purchasing land to add to existing parks and connect up those parks, improve management capabilities or improve their viability for conservation. An example is this land here on Kangaroo Island at the western end, 2,500 hectares at Mansley Bay, which connected up to Flinders Chase National Park, and it's that large, with other parks in that western end to improve fire management and also create tourism opportunities through the new Kangaroo Island in Australia. And another approach over the last 20 years has been a systematic review of existing government held lands, which James alluded to before, to determine which have conservation benefit relative to the reserve system. Now, without touching on Indigenous protected areas, which is a model that Bruce is going to talk to in a minute, another direction for state governments has been the creation of new governance models to manage state parks through co-management or joint arrangements with Aboriginal people, or indeed to create Aboriginal-owned parks A good example is this one, Breakaways Country in the South Australian outback, which was was government-owned land, it wasn't a park or anything like that, and it was handed back to the local Aboriginal people. And it was turned into an Aboriginal-owned conservation park, which they own and manage to protect their culture. Another direction given impetus by the energy around the National Reserve System has been reviewed by state governments to upgrade existing reserves. This has been done by various means, such as upgrading reserve to a national park, as was done for the Coongie Lakes Ramsar site, or, as in this slide, upgrading a portion of a large multiple use reserve by removing mining access to create a 900,000 hectare wilderness area. Finally, I do touch on the incredible energy that's been at the heart of the marine parks effort by state governments in the last 20 years, and also in the Commonwealth for that matter. And that's been achieved by either creating one park at a time or the whole system at a time, as occurred in South Australia. But I won't talk any further on that because Jeff's going to touch on that as well. Thank you.